Hi, this is Mr. Adams from Midwood High School, and this is a video on naming and writing amines and amides. As always, we're going to name the longest number of carbons first. Okay, that will be our parent chain. Okay, the functional group must be included in the parent. Okay, I will go over that. And the functional group, which is amines or amides in this case, must have the lowest number possible. When we're doing amines, right, we will drop the E, okay, and we'll add amine to the ending of the name, and that will be our name for the amines. So you recognize amines by some number of carbons. The R represents carbons, okay, and they're connected to NH2. Okay, that's called an amino group. So when you have NH2 connected to some number of carbons, you have an amine on your hands, so we follow this way of naming it. So this guy over here at the top in the corner right here, we notice has 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, right? We're counting from right to left because that will give our amino group the lowest number. All right. So we notice that the amino group is located on carbon number 2, right? So what we simply say is 2. Now 4 carbons gets us but prefix, right? So we go butane. All right. We'll drop the E and add amine. So 2-butan amine. All right. Now remember, we're using alkanes as our parent originally, and we modify the suffix as needed. Okay, so 2-butanamine, we're done. What is it saying? You have an amino group, NH2, on carbon number 2 of the parent, and that's it. So same thing for this guy over here. You simply have 3 carbons there, right? Now, 3-carbon alkane would be propane, right? So P-R-O-P, propane. We're dropping the E this time. We're adding amine, so it's propanamine. All right? And what carbon number he's on? From either direction, he's on carbon number 2, so 2-propanamine. Now let's just say you had a methyl group hanging off somewhere. The alkyl group will come in front of the name, and it will still have 2-propanamine or 2-butanamine as needed or whatever. But we'll do an example later with that. All right, amides. Now, amides are sort of kind of similar to amines, but we notice that the NH2 group is connected to a carbonyl. So you can think of the amide as either an acid, but instead of having OH, okay, for example, we have an acid, right, with OH. Instead of being OH, there's NH2, and that's called an amide group, or some people say amide. But either or, okay. Now when we're naming these guys, once again, we'll get the longest number of carbons for the parent. Okay, we will drop the E and we'll add the amide at the ending. Now amides are pretty important because they're significant in relation to peptide bonds, which we'll talk about in a future, in class and in a future video. Okay, all right. So how would you name this guy in the bottom left? We have the longest number of carbons simply being 2 of them, all right? And the thing about amides, right, the amide group, okay, is always going to be at carbon number 1. Okay, so this amide group will always be at carbon number 1. So we go 1, 2 carbons, so that's ethane, right? So we go ETH. AN, we drop the E and add amide, AMIDE. Now notice we don't have to put a number because anytime you have an amide group, it's already understood that it's going to be at carbon number 1. The C double bond O NH2 will always be carbon number 1, so you don't have to put 1 ethanamide. It's understood that the amide group is at carbon number 1. Now how we will name the next guy over here? We have this as our longest number of carbons. Notice we don't go this way because that's what include a functional group. And if you don't include a functional group in your name, that's a major, major violation. So we don't want to do that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're counting right to left once again. Why? Because that gives us carbon number 1 here, our lowest number for our functional group, right? Now we have 4 carbons, so that gets us butane, right? But instead of having butane, it's an amide, so we add A-M-I-D-E at the end, right? Butanamide, all right. And we notice that we have something hanging on the side, right? Right here. That's 1 carbon, that's a methyl group of carbon number 2. So we say 2-methyl butanamide. All right, and you're done. So 2-methyl butanamide, okay, is this guy right here, and this guy right here is ethanamide. All right, the methyl group's on carbon number 2, bute, okay, 4 carbons, and the amide group is always going to be carbon number 1. Okay, we move on. Now you guys can pause the video and try and draw the structures for these, and we'll see how we do. Alrighty, we have 3-methyl 1-hexanamine. Alright, so it's an amine, right? So we know we have NH2 someplace. And we notice that 1 represents a location, so we have an amine group at carbon number 1. Hex represents 6 for us. So we'll put 6 carbons down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know I have an amine group, NH2, okay, at carbon number 1. You can put carbon number 1 on the other side, doesn't matter. But we put carbon number 1 on this side right here, okay, on carbon number 3. So it's 2, 3. On carbon number 3, we have a methyl group, which I'll put right there. Okay, and you're done. You fill your hydrogens in, and that's it. Now we just fill them in like this on the carbons, all right. And there we go. Now guys, don't put anything else on these nitrogens or hydrogens or whatever. They're satisfied already. Nitrogen forms a maximum of 3 bonds, so don't add anything extra to it. It's done. Okay, just add in your lines for your hydrogens and you're good to go. Alright, the next guy is 4-ethyl heptanamide. It's an amide, alright. Hept refers to 7 carbons, and I know from experience on table R that amides always will, the functional group will always be at the end. So I'll put my 7 carbons down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. An amide group and a mid group looks like this. Double bond O with the NH2, right? Okay, alrighty. So we have 4-ethyl. So this carbon right here will be carbon number 1 when we count from right to left. Okay, if we started over here, we can come this way if we put the amide group over here. But I put it on the right side, no problem. So this is 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. I'm going to put an ethyl group right there, 2 carbons together hanging on the side, and that's it. We'll just have to fill our hydrogens in carefully. So we go like that. Okay. Each line represents a hydrogen. Now notice once again, we don't have to put anything here on this carbon because he has 1, 2, 3, 4. He's good. We don't have to put anything else in that nitrogen. Alright guys, as always, hard work plus sacrifice equals success. Hope this video was a help. This will be in our upcoming quiz and our test. So study hard. Take care.